Hey everyone, welcome back for another deep dive.
Yeah, always exciting to jump into these.
Right, and today we're taking a look at, well, a pretty complex and honestly a heartbreaking story, the life of Rob Peace.
Rob Peace, yeah. Definitely a life that, well, on the surface, it looks like he had it all. Academic success, athletic talent, a loving and supportive family.
Yeah, I mean, you look at his resume and it's like, wow, this guy was going places.
But things took a tragic turn, and that's what makes his story so fascinating to explore, right?
Absolutely. We're looking at this through two main sources, the biographical drama, Rob Peace.
Directed by Chiwetel Ejiofor, really powerful film.
Powerful is the right word. And then also the book that inspired the film, The Short and Tragic Life of Robert Peace.
Written by Jeff Hobbs, who was actually Rob's roommate in college.
So he had a very up-close and personal perspective.
He did.
So jumping into this, the big question that we keep coming back to
Hmm.
is how can someone with so much promise, so much going for him, end up a victim of gun violence?
Right. It's like this puzzle. It just doesn't seem to add up. And to really understand it, I think we have to start at the beginning. We have to go back to Rob's childhood.
His roots.
Exactly. His roots. He grew up in East Orange, New Jersey, which, well, it was a challenging environment, to say the least.
Yeah, not exactly known for being a place of privilege and opportunity.
Right. Exactly. I
Yeah.
mean, it had its share of struggles, its share of poverty, crime, all those things that come with those types of environments. But in the midst of all that, Rob had this incredible mother, Jackie Peace.
From everything I've read and seen about her, she sounds like an absolute powerhouse.
Oh, she was. She was absolutely dedicated to giving Rob a better life. She worked multiple jobs tirelessly to make sure he got a good education, kept him away from the negative influences that were so prevalent in their neighborhood.
So that must have made a huge difference in his life.
Oh, without a doubt. And,
Yeah.
that dedication paid off because Rob ended up attending St. Benedict's Prep in Newark.
That's an elite private school, right?
Yeah. Very prestigious, academically rigorous. And Rob, he thrived there, excelled in his studies, became a top student in his class. It's like he had this drive to succeed, to prove himself.
Yeah, and that drive took him all the way to Yale University. I mean, talk about a remarkable journey from East Orange to Yale. It's incredible.
It really is. And at Yale, he continued to excel. He majored in molecular biophysics and biochemistry.
So not exactly easy subjects.
No, not at all. The guy was brilliant. But, and this is where things get a little more complicated, there was this other side to Rob's life, this shadow that loomed over his success. And that was his father.
Yeah, Skeet Douglas. He was serving a life sentence for a double murder, right?
That's right. And, Skeet always maintained his innocence, claimed he was wrongly convicted. And Rob, being the incredibly loyal person he was, became his father's most ardent advocate. He spent countless hours researching the case, trying to find evidence to prove his father's innocence. He even worked to raise money for appeals.
So he was juggling like this Ivy League education with this incredibly heavy burden of trying to clear his father's name.
Exactly. And that's something that both the film and the book really dive into. How did Rob navigate these two worlds? The world of Yale, this elite privileged environment, and then the world of his family, his roots in East Orange, and the harsh reality of his father's imprisonment.
Those are two very different realities to reconcile.
They are. And the book especially really gets into Rob's internal struggles, the pressure he felt, the weight of expectations at Yale, the constant worry for his father, and then the pull of his old neighborhood, the pull of his past. It's like he never fully escaped it.
Yeah, I mean, how could you, right? It's such a fundamental part of who you are.
Exactly. And then there's this other element that comes up in both the film and the book, and that's Rob's involvement in selling marijuana.
Yeah, for someone with his intellect and opportunities, it just seems so contradictory.
It does, doesn't it? And that's where the film, I think, does a really interesting job of exploring these contradictions in Rob's life. Was it purely financial pressure that drove him to dealing? Or was there something more to it? Was it a way to connect to his neighborhood, to maintain a sense of belonging?
It's almost like he was trying to fit in both worlds, but not fully belonging to either.
Right. And, I think it also speaks to a larger issue, a systemic issue. The fact that for someone like Rob, even with all his intelligence and potential, dealing drugs felt like one of the few viable options.
Like the system was almost set up to fail him in a way.
In a way, yeah. And tragically, those circumstances, those contradictions, they ultimately led to his death.
Yeah, in 2011, he was shot and killed at his home in Newark,
Yeah.
most likely a drug-related incident.
And to this day, the case remains unsolved. It's just It's heartbreaking.
It is. And, it's easy to look at Rob's story and just see it as a tale of wasted potential.
Right. Another bright mind lost to violence.
But I feel like both the film and the book, they go beyond that simplistic narrative. They ask us to consider the complexities of Rob's life, the choices he made, the pressures he faced.
They really make you think about how we define success and failure. What does it truly mean to succeed in life? Is it just about academics and career achievements, or is there something more to it?
Right, because on paper, Rob was a success story. He achieved so much.
But there was clearly a deeper struggle going on beneath the surface, and I think the film challenges us to look beyond those surface-level judgments, to really see the human being behind the achievements, the struggles, the contradictions.
So, what can we take away from Rob's story? What can we learn from his life, his journey, even though it ended far too soon?
I think it's a reminder that intelligence and opportunity, even love and support, they don't guarantee a smooth path. Life is messy, it's unpredictable, and sometimes, even when you have all the right ingredients, things can still go wrong.
It's a reminder that we need to be compassionate, understanding, and that we should never judge a person solely based on their outward achievements or failures. Because there's always more to the story.
Always. And that's why I think Rob's story is so important. It forces us to confront these uncomfortable truths, to acknowledge the complexities of life, and to recognize that success isn't always what it seems.
Well said. And to anyone listening, if this deep dive has piqued your interest, I highly recommend checking out both the film and the book. They're both powerful and thought-provoking works that offer a deeper understanding of Rob Peace's life and legacy.
Yeah, they'll stay with you long after you finish them. And, I think the biggest takeaway for me, the question that keeps lingering, is what can we do to create a world where potential isn't cut short by violence and circumstance? How do we create a society where someone like Rob can truly thrive?
It's a question worth asking, and a question that I hope we can all continue to grapple with.
Absolutely.
Well, thanks for joining us for this deep dive. It's been a challenging but important conversation.
Yeah, and I hope it sparks some reflection for our listeners.
We'll be back soon with another deep dive into a different topic. Until then, take care.
See you then.